Why aren't you wealthy yet? I mean, it's a question most of us have quietly asked ourselves at some point, right? We usually assume, well, we're just not earning enough, or maybe we completely missed out on some secret mathematical formula. But what if the real reason has literally nothing to do with your math skills?
Here is the surprising truth. You likely aren't struggling because you lack money, but because you misunderstand it. Money isn't just, math on a spreadsheet. It's behavior. It is deeply driven by human psychology. Financial stagnation almost always happens because we fail to understand how money actually operates inside our own minds. So welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to peek under the hood and completely overhaul our financial operating systems. We're going to explore the deeply ingrained psychology that dictates our bank accounts, because honestly, until you understand how money thinks, it's incredibly hard to master it. We've got a really clear roadmap for our journey today. We'll be covering 6 crucial mindset shifts: behavior over math, luck, risk and reality, the trap of enough, how wealth actually grows, keeping what you earn, and finally, why true wealth is freedom. Let's just dive right in. Starting with our first principle, behavior over math, and why, surprisingly, no one is actually crazy when it comes to money. We all love to think we're perfectly logical with our cash, but our financial decisions are actually shaped heavily by our unique upbringing. For someone raised in poverty, money often equals security, right? It's something to be intensely saved and protected. But for someone raised in a wealthy environment, money is seen as a tool for opportunity and risk. Both people view money completely differently, yet neither is wrong. It's just based on their own lived experience. Think back to the 2008 recession. That was one massive global economic event, but it produced 2 entirely rational reactions. If you lost your job during that time, your brain probably permanently wired the stock market as a massive danger. But if you happen to have cash on hand, you probably bought cheap stocks and saw it as the ultimate opportunity. We make these huge decisions based on our own tiny sliver of worldly experience, yet we mistakenly believe we understand the whole picture.
And that brings us to section 2, luck, risk, and reality, the unseen forces of success.
We love to believe success is just a simple equation, right? Hard work plus smarts. But that completely ignores 2 unseen forces. Take Bill Gates. Incredibly hardworking? Yes, absolutely. But also incredibly lucky to be born at the exact dawn of the computer age. On the flip side, think of a lottery winner who loses everything. They experience sudden luck without the skill to handle the immense risk. So the reality is, you can control your decisions, but not the outcomes. Hard work isn't the only factor, and failure isn't always laziness. Moving right along to section 3, the trap of enough. The endless rat race that traps almost everyone. There is this fantastic, kind of a legendary story about authors Kurt Vonnegut and Joseph Heller at a billionaire's party. Vonnegut jokes that their host makes more money in a single day than Heller's wildly famous book made in its entire history. And Heller? He simply responds, "Yes, but I have something he will never have: enough." You see, the problem isn't always a lack of money. It's the inability to feel satisfied. Comparison is literally the ultimate treadmill. You get a promotion, you're thrilled for a week, and then you see your neighbor's new car and suddenly feel broke again. I mean, even multimillionaires like Bernie Madoff resorted to massive fraud because enough just wasn't in his vocabulary. If you don't define your own finish line, society's going to keep moving it for you. Okay, now that we've tackled those mental traps, let's look at section 4, how wealth actually grows. It's time to demystify the magic of compounding. Everyone assumes building wealth requires these high-risk moves or extreme genius, but the actual math is surprisingly boring and incredibly powerful. Think about the power of 37. If you improve your financial habits by just 1% every single day, compounding doesn't just make you 365% better. You become 37 times better in a single year. Small, consistent steps create explosive results. Compounding isn't a magic trick that works overnight. Actually, it's exactly like a bamboo tree. For years, you see absolutely nothing above the ground. The growth is all happening in the roots, deep down. And then, boom, it suddenly shoots up into the sky. People think it was an overnight success, but it was years of unseen foundation. This is exactly why Warren Buffett built the vast majority of his unbelievable wealth in the later years of his life. He didn't just earn money, he gave it the one ingredient compounding demands: uninterrupted time. All right, so you've grown your wealth, but as we'll see in section 5, keeping what you earn is a completely different game.
This is a massive, massive stumbling block. Getting wealthy and staying wealthy, they require entirely opposite skills. To get wealthy, you need confidence, aggression, and a real appetite for risk. But to stay wealthy, you have to completely shift gears. You need the humility of a tortoise. You need to build safety nets, have a healthy dose of fear, and exercise immense patience. Overconfidence is exactly what ruins rabbit earners. They assume their genius is foolproof, right up until they lose the whole shebang.
To stay in the game, you need to understand tails you win. It's kind of like flipping a coin where a tails pays out 100 to 1. Jeff Bezos had dozens of failed projects. Steve Jobs had multiple product flops. They weren't right every time. They just built enough of a safety net to survive those small failures. And when they finally hit that one massive success, like AWS or the iPhone, it was so huge it just erased all the prior losses. Which brings us to our final section, number 6. True wealth is freedom. It's time to redefine what the ultimate goal of all this actually is. If I ask you what the purpose of money is, you might say a luxury car or a bigger house. But the absolute best dividend money pays is freedom. True wealth is having the autonomy to wake up every single morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. It's having complete control over your own time. Yet so many high earners are completely miserable, and it usually comes down to the lifestyle creep trap. Imagine your income shoots up by an impressive 20%, but eager to show off your new status, your expenses inflate by 25%. More money is passing through your hands, sure, but you are effectively poorer. You aren't the master of your money. The lifestyle you're maintaining is mastering you. This is why we have to completely reframe how we view saving. Saving money is not a punishment. It's not a restriction of your current lifestyle or some sacrifice of today's joy. Saving is literally the act of buying back your future freedom. Every dollar you don't spend on a flashy item today is a dollar that buys you autonomy, safety, and peace of mind tomorrow. You aren't denying yourself, you are empowering your future self. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one profound question to reflect on. Look at your habits, look at your daily stress levels, and ask yourself, are you trying to be rich or are you trying to be free? Because they are rarely the same thing. Once you decide that true wealth is freedom, how you earn, save, and spend changes forever. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.